I still remember the moment our scanners detected the signal buried beneath the asteroid's crust, a frequency older than our species, older than every star chart ever drawn. I should have turned back. I should have warned them. But instead, I touched it. Before I go on, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from. I want to know how far my story travels across the stars. The light of the control room felt colder that day. My hands trembled, a chill that seeped through the metal of the ship, igniting a sense of dread I couldn't shake. The other crew members buzzed around me, their voices faded against the backdrop of an ancient echo, as if the asteroid itself was whispering secrets from a forgotten era. I could feel it, the weight of history pressing down on us, and for the first time, I questioned whether we were meant to uncover these truths. The asteroid floated in the void, a remnant of some cosmic battle, shrouded in darkness. I felt small, insignificant, like a single grain of dust in a vast expanse. But there was something more lurking beneath the surface, a pulse that resonated with my very being. The signal grew louder, urging me to listen, to understand. I had seen my share of anomalies, but this was different. This was alive. I maneuvered closer, my heart racing, as I brought the scanners to bear. The screen flickered, revealing a pattern that twisted and turned like a serpent. It wasn't just noise, it was a language, a call from the deep. I was mesmerized, caught in the gravitational pull of this ancient mystery. The crew gathered around, their faces illuminated by the cold blue glow of the monitors. "What is it, Commander?" one of them asked, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know," I replied, my voice trembling. But I knew I had to find out. I had to touch it. With a deep breath, I initiated the excavation protocols. The ship's drone extended a delicate arm, scraping away layers of rock and dust. Each movement unveiled another piece of this cosmic puzzle, and I could feel the anticipation building among the crew. We were on the brink of something monumental. But as the final layer crumbled away, the air shifted. A surge of energy flowed through the ship, and the lights flickered ominously. I felt it before I saw it, a wave of heat that washed over me, followed by a luminescent glow that erupted from the asteroid's core. I staggered back, my heart pounding as the crew shouted in fear. The glow intensified, expanding outward like a supernova, and I realized with a sinking dread that we had awakened something dormant, something powerful. The ship trembled, metal creaking as an unseen force pressed against us. I watched in horror as the scanners went berserk, readings spiking into chaos. "Get us out of here," I ordered, my voice breaking through the panic. But it was too late. The energy was no longer contained, and with a deafening roar, the asteroid split apart, showering us in fragments of ancient stone and dust. In that moment, I felt the fabric of reality shift. We were no longer just explorers. We had become a part of something larger. I could see the fear in my crew's eyes, a reflection of my own turmoil. We were adrift, thrown into a storm of cosmic reckoning. I had opened the door, and now we faced whatever lay beyond. The remnants of the asteroid spiraled around us, impossibly beautiful yet terrifying. I glanced at the monitors. Each one displayed a different chaos. Communications failed, systems flickered, and alarms blared. Outside, I could see other ships, their silhouettes dark against the backdrop of space. They were drawn to the collapse, like moths to a flame. I knew that we weren't the only ones drawn in by curiosity. "Commander, we're losing propulsion," a voice cried. I felt the weight of our fate pressing down on me, a suffocating reminder of the choices I made. We were vulnerable, and I had led us into this chaos. The darkness of space loomed like a predator, waiting for us to falter. As I fought to regain control, I could sense the shadows of massive fleets converging. They were here for the relic, and I feared what they would do. The atmosphere shifted, electric with tension. I could feel the thrumming of their engines vibrating through the hull, an ominous reminder of the power struggle that lay ahead. Then, just as quickly as it had begun, the chaos halted. A silence enveloped us, a heavy, suffocating quiet. The remnants of the asteroid hung in front of us like the memories of a dream we couldn't grasp. I could see the ships around us, their weapons primed, their intentions clear. They would fight for this relic, and we were caught in the crosshairs. Tension hung in the air like a tangible entity, a dark cloud looming over us. I felt my pulse quicken as I realized the enormity of what I had done. I had awakened a force capable of destruction, and now we were all on borrowed time. The screen flickered again, revealing a message from the lead ship, a warning, a demand. Return to your homeworld or face the consequences. My heart sank. We were trapped in a web of lies and ancient grudges, forces beyond our understanding swirling around us. Were we the last remnants of humanity, or just another casualty in an endless cycle of cosmic conflict? The silence was deafening, and dread settled in my chest like a stone. I could feel the weight of my choices pressing down on me, a reminder that sometimes curiosity led us to our ruin. As I stared into the cold depths of space, I understood the truth. We had crossed a threshold, and the consequences would be monumental. I had awakened something that should have remained hidden, and now the galaxy would bear witness to our reckoning. In that moment, I knew that the fight had only just begun, and I was both the architect and the prisoner of our fate. The shadows of war loomed, and I could only wonder what the stars would reveal next. The drone's arm moved with a precision that belied the chaos brewing inside me. I watched as the asteroid revealed its secrets, layers of cold stone giving way to a surface that shimmered with an unnatural light. It was mesmerizing, almost hypnotic, drawing me in deeper, inviting me to lose myself in its glow. As the last layer fell away, the object emerged, a relic of unimaginable age. It stood there, pulsating softly, a dark crystal embedded in a cage of corroded metal. My breath caught in my throat as I realized it was not just an artifact. It was a part of something larger, something that had once known life, movement, purpose. The crew leaned in closer, their eyes wide with a mix of awe and fear, mirroring my own turmoil. What had we uncovered? What had I awakened? I hesitated, a moment stretching into eternity. My fingers hovered near the control panel, the weight of the decision heavy on my shoulders. Touch it, a voice in my mind urged. You must know what it can do. But another part of me screamed to turn away, to seal it away and never look back. Before I could dwell on the consequences, my hand fell, initiating the final connection. The ship trembled as energy surged from the relic, a wave of force that rippled through the hull. Alarms blared in the control room, lights flickered ominously, and I felt the ship shudder beneath us. The crew shouted, confusion mingling with fear as the monitors exploded with static, their screens swirling with incomprehensible data. It was chaos, a frenzy of lights and sounds spiraling into oblivion. "Commander, what's happening?" someone yelled, panic threading through their voice. "I don't know. Hold on," I shouted back, gripping the edge of the console as the ship quaked violently. And then, as suddenly as it began, the tremors ceased. An eerie silence enveloped us, the kind that felt unnatural in the vastness of space. I slowly released my grip, looking around at my crew. Their faces mirrored my own, confusion, fear, and an unshakable sense of foreboding. "What did we unleash?" I whispered, more to myself than to anyone else. The ship's systems flickered back to life, but the data streams were now erratic, filled with unfamiliar readings. I focused on the relic, its glow pulsing rhythmically, as if it was alive. waiting for us to make the next move. I could sense the energy emanating from it, a power ancient and unfathomable. Questions swirled in my mind, but one thing was clear. We had crossed a threshold, and whatever lay ahead would change everything. Then, without warning, a voice echoed through the control room, deep and resonant, vibrating the very air around us. "Awakened," it intoned, and my skin prickled at the sound. The voice was not human. "Who's there?" I demanded, trying to keep my voice steady. The crew stared at me, eyes wide, fear etched on their faces. But the voice continued, undeterred. "Awakened, you have. A cycle begun anew." Panic washed over me. Were we dreaming, or had we simply disturbed something that should have remained undisturbed? My instinct screamed at me to shut it down, but the whispers of curiosity and ambition held me tight. "Who are you?" I said, this time with more authority, trying to mask the tremor in my voice. "Not who, what? A remnant of the cosmos, the keeper of the forgotten." I glanced at the crew, their expressions a mix of wonder and terror. "What do you want from us?" I asked, though part of me feared the answer. "From you? Nothing. But for all, the cycle must be faced." The voice grew louder, reverberating through the ship. "The slumbering races awaken. The cosmos shall know war once more." A chill cascaded down my spine. War. The word hung in the air, heavy and foreboding. I could feel my heart pounding, each beat a reminder of the gravity of our situation. The implications of this moment loomed over us like a dark cloud, threatening to consume everything we knew. "Captain, we need to get out of here," one of the crew shouted, the fear in their eyes growing. "Wait," I replied, trying to center myself amid the chaos. "We need to understand what this means." The ship's systems began to overload, alarms blaring again, drowning out the voice. "The cycles have repeated, and time has a price. You have chosen to break the silence. The cosmos will react." In that instant, the control room dimmed, and the monitors flickered to life again, showing a vast expanse of stars. But they were not the stars I recognized. They were shifting, twisting, as if some unseen force was warping the very fabric of space around us. "Prepare for impact," I ordered, gripping the console tightly as the ship shuddered again. The crew scrambled to their stations, adrenaline coursing through their veins. I could see the fear in their eyes reflecting my own. Our vessel was no longer safe. It was a target, a beacon drawing attention from the depths of the universe. As we braced for the unknown, I felt a surge of determination rise within me. We had awakened something powerful, and now we needed to be ready. We were no longer mere explorers. We had become players in a cosmic game far beyond our understanding. "Ready the engines for jump," I commanded, trying to mask the uncertainty in my voice. "We need to get out of here, now." And as I made that desperate call, I couldn't help but wonder what awaited us on the other side. Would we find salvation or destruction? Whatever lay ahead, I knew we had crossed a line, and there was no turning back. The cosmos had stirred, and we were caught in its relentless tide. I felt the drone's vibrations reverberate through my chest as it scraped away the surface of the asteroid, revealing something iridescent beneath the layers of rock. The atmosphere in the control room thickened, a mixture of anticipation and dread enveloping us, chilling the air even more than the coldness of space itself. I was aware of every heartbeat, a reminder of my fragility in this expanse of darkness. The moment the light broke through was surreal, a shimmer, a glimmer, a promise of something ancient and powerful. I leaned in closer, my eyes widening. The object was unlike anything I had ever seen. Its surface was smooth and reflective, swirling with colors that shifted and danced like starlight. It pulsated softly, as if it had a heartbeat of its own. I felt drawn to it, a magnetic pull that whispered to my very essence. "Commander, we need to be cautious," another crew member said, his voice laced with concern. I could see the worry etched on their faces as they watched me approach the relic, but I was already too far gone, lost in the allure of the unknown. In that moment, the asteroid seemed to groan, an echo of long-forgotten battles that had raged long before humanity ever took to the stars. The crew had no idea what we were unearthing, nor did I, but the signal grew stronger, wrapping around my mind like a lover's embrace. It urged me to delve deeper, to embrace the mysteries hidden within. I reached out, fingers trembling, and hesitated just before touching the surface. A jolt of energy shot through me as my hand made contact, and the world around me exploded into a kaleidoscope of colors. Images flashed before my eyes, civilizations rising and falling, stars being born and dying in an eternal cycle. It was a cosmic tapestry woven with threads of time, a narrative that encompassed epochs beyond understanding. And then silence. A stillness enveloped us, thick and suffocating, as if the universe had paused to take a breath. I snapped back to reality, gasping, the remnants of those visions fading like smoke in the air. My crew stared at me, wide-eyed, their expressions a mixture of awe and fear. I had glimpsed something beyond comprehension, and yet it felt so intimately tied to the fabric of our existence. "What just happened?" someone finally managed to ask, their voice trembling. I I think I touched the past," I stammered, still reeling from the experience. "There's something in this relic, something that connects us to a lineage we never knew we were a part of." As I stepped back, the drone continued its work, the sound of machinery whirring filling the silence. The pulse of the relic slowed, but its presence lingered, like a shadow, a heavy weight resting on my shoulders. I felt a connection, not just to the object, but to the countless souls who had come before me. It was a realization that overwhelmed me, not just that I was part of a history, but that I was linked to an ancient struggle, one that had played out across the vastness of the cosmos. Before I could process my thoughts, alarms suddenly blared through the ship. Red lights flashed, bathing the control room in an ominous hue. My heart raced as I turned to the screens. The ship's systems displayed a chaos of warnings. Anomaly detected, gravitational disturbance. The words bellowed through the intercom, each syllable punctuating the fear rising within me. "Get us out of here!" I shouted, adrenaline coursing through my veins. The crew sprang into action, fingers dancing across panels as they tried to regain control. The asteroid trembled, as if responding to the relic's awakening, and I felt the ship shudder beneath us. "Commander, we're losing stability. We need to—" Before he could finish, the asteroid cracked open as if it had been split by an unseen force. Light erupted from within, brighter than any star, and I shielded my eyes as the very fabric of reality bent around us. It was beautiful and terrifying, a cosmic dance of power that threatened to consume everything in its wake. "Hold on," I yelled, bracing myself against the console as the ship was jolted violently. The crew members scrambled, their faces pale, fear etched deeply into their features. We were caught in a tempest that had been brewing long before we arrived, and I realized in that instant that our presence had triggered something profound. The energy from the relic surged through the asteroid, creating waves of light that cascaded outwards like ripples in water. I could feel it, the echoes of ancient battles reverberating in my bones, whispering truths that had long been buried. We were not alone, and something was awakening, something ancient that demanded attention. The ship lurched again, alarms blaring louder, a cacophony that drowned out our panic-stricken voices. "We need to go, now!" I shouted more urgently, my heart pounding in sync with the chaos around us. But it was too late. A dark shadow loomed beyond the asteroid, a fleet of ships emerging from the void, their silhouettes sharp against the light. They were colossal, machines of war that spoke of civilizations ready to reclaim what was theirs. I realized with a chilling clarity that we were intruders in a cosmic tale far beyond our understanding. I felt the weight of responsibility settle onto my shoulders, and dread pooled in my stomach. This was only the beginning. The relic had stirred something, something that would not rest until it reclaimed its past. And just like that, as the enemy ships closed in, I understood how fragile our existence truly was. The fate of my crew, of humanity, hung in the balance, caught between the echoes of history and the enormity of the cosmos. The silence that had once enveloped the stars was now a roar, and I was at the center of it all, trembling on the precipice of despair. The darkened sky filled with the promise of violence, and at that moment I knew with certainty that the universe was not merely vast, it was alive, and it was watching. I felt my heart race as the silence settled like a heavy fog in the control room. It was a silence that screamed louder than the alarms had moments before, a whispered warning laced with uncertainty. My crew turned to me with wide eyes, their expressions a mirror of my own internal turmoil. What had we unleashed? I felt the weight of that question press down upon me, heavy and insistent. The dark crystal pulsed softly, as though it thrummed with a heartbeat of its own. I approached it, drawn forward by an unseen force, but every step felt like a betrayal to the instinct screaming inside me to retreat. It was a relic, a remnant of an ancient civilization, and I stood on the precipice of knowledge that could either save us or doom us all. The air crackled with the energy that seemed to emanate from it, wrapping around me like a shroud. "What do we do now, Commander?" one of my officers asked, breaking the oppressive silence. Her voice was small against the vastness of space, trembling with the weight of the moment. I swallowed hard, my mind racing through our training, through the protocols designed to handle discoveries like this. But no manual prepared us for the reality of standing before something that was not merely an artifact, but possibly a conduit for unimaginable power. "We need to analyze it," I replied, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "Get the drones to scan it for energy signatures. We need to understand what we're dealing with." As the crew scrambled to follow my orders, I remained rooted in place, captivated by the relic. It seemed to beckon to me, promising answers to questions I didn't even know I had. My fingers tingled with the remnants of energy that had surged through the ship. I could feel the ripples of its awakening deep within me, igniting a curiosity that threatened to consume every rational thought. The screens flickered back to life, showing streams of data that buzzed and whirred frantically, illuminating the control room in a ghostly glow. It was chaotic, a chaotic reflection of the storm within me. I watched as the drones buzzed around the relic, their lights flickering in an erratic rhythm, searching for something tangible in this sea of uncertainty. "Commander," another voice chimed in, pulling my attention away from the mesmerizing chaos. "We're detecting unusual energy readings. It's fluctuating. It's like it's trying to communicate." I felt a chill run down my spine, a mix of fear and fascination. A part of me wanted to believe that it was merely a relic of the past, a forgotten piece of history. But another part, the part that was terrified of the implications, understood that this could be the catalyst for something much greater. "What kind of communication?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "Unknown. It's as if it's responding to our presence," the officer replied, eyes darting between the readings and the artifact. "We should—" But before she could finish her sentence, the lights in the control room flickered violently, plunging us into darkness for an agonizing moment. I felt the ship shudder beneath us once more, a deep rumble that resonated in my bones. "Hold on," I shouted, bracing myself against the console. When the lights returned, I gasped at the sight before me. The relic glowed brighter, casting long shadows across the room, and in that moment, I felt it, a connection. It was as though the relic recognized me, reaching out with tendrils of energy that slipped through the cracks of my consciousness. My thoughts swirled, drowning in a vortex of light and darkness. "Commander, we're losing power in the aft section," another crew member cried, urgency flooding her voice. I tore my gaze from the relic, forcing myself to focus on the immediate crisis. "Divert auxiliary power to the engines. We need to stabilize before we're caught in a gravitational pull." Yet even as I barked out orders, my mind lingered on the mystery of the relic. What did it want? Why had it chosen this moment, this ship, this crew? The chaos intensified around me. Alarms blared, crew members rushed, and my own heart thundered in my chest. I fought to maintain control, to lead amidst the turmoil, but I couldn't shake the feeling that something monumental was unfolding beyond our understanding. As we struggled to regain stability, it happened again. The relic pulsed with an energy that resonated through the ship, like a shockwave that sent a ripple of fear through my crew. "It's responding to the chaos," I realized, my breath hitching as the implications set in. We were not just observers, we were participants in a grander scheme, players in a cosmic game we did not yet comprehend. Suddenly, the screens exploded with data, graphs spiking dangerously high. "Commander, we're detecting a massive energy surge. It's overwhelming the systems," the officer shouted, panic threading her voice. "Redirect all energy to the shields. We need to protect the ship," I ordered, but I could feel the tide turning, as if we were caught in the undertow of a storm. It was too late. The ship shook violently, the metal creaking as if it might tear apart at the seams. A bright flash illuminated the control room, blinding me momentarily. I stumbled back, grasping for the console to steady myself. "What the hell was that?" I shouted, but there was no answer. The ship's systems screamed in protest, and I felt the weight of 1,000 eyes upon me, as if the universe itself was watching, waiting for a decision. In that instant, clarity washed over me. I realized that we were standing on the brink of something profound. This relic was not merely an object of curiosity. It held the power to change everything we knew. My heart raced as the gears in my mind turned, piecing together a path forward. We had to understand it, to harness it before it consumed us. "Prepare to initiate a full analysis," I commanded, determination rising within me. We're not going to let it consume us. We will learn, we will adapt, and we will find a way to control it. As the crew moved into action, I steadied my breath, accepting the weight of my decisions. I knew that the journey ahead would be fraught with danger and uncertainty, but I could not allow fear to dictate our actions. We were explorers, after all, destined to confront the unknown, even when it threatened to unravel us. The relic pulsed softly once more, and as I looked at it, I felt a strange sense of certainty. This was just the beginning, and I was ready to face it. I snapped back to reality, the brilliance fading into a muted glow. The control room was silent, the crew frozen in disbelief, as if the very fabric of space had entwined around us, holding us captive in an unending moment. I could feel the weight of their stares, their thoughts heavy with questions. What had I seen? What had we awoken? The fear in their eyes mirrored the chaos in my mind. I staggered backward, the implications of what I had experienced crashing over me like a tidal wave. The relic, it was more than an object. It was a key to knowledge long forgotten, a bridge between time and existence. My heart raced, pounding against my ribs, a frantic reminder of my humanity amidst the vastness of the cosmos. "Commander, report!" The urgent call from my second-in-command broke the reverie. It pulled me from the depths of my thoughts, forcing me to focus. I swallowed hard, struggling to articulate the enormity of the moment. I saw something," I stammered, my voice hoarse. visions of civilizations, their rise and their fall. It's as if the relic holds their memories, their pain, and their triumphs. The tension in the control room thickened, the dread palpable. We were explorers, yes, but we were also intruders in a realm we did not fully understand. My crew's apprehension resonated within me, a shared understanding of the danger that lingered in the vast darkness outside our ship. "Do you think it can be weaponized?" another crew member asked, her gaze darting toward the shimmering relic. The question hung in the air, an ominous undertone that echoed our deepest fears. "No," I said, shaking my head, even as doubt wormed its way into my thoughts. "This is not a tool for war. It feels sacred. But we need to be cautious. We don't know what we're dealing with." The silence stretched on, each second ticking by like an eternity. In that moment, I felt the weight of responsibility settle upon my shoulders. I had touched something powerful, something that could change the course of our existence. But what if that change was for the worse? As if answering my unspoken fears, a low rumble reverberated through the control room, shaking the very foundation of our ship. Alarms blared, red lights flashing in frantic strobe, casting eerie shadows against the walls. "Systems failing! We're losing power!" my technician shouted, panic lacing his voice. The ship trembled around us, a shaky vessel caught in a cosmic storm. "What the hell is happening?" I demanded, struggling to keep my composure. "It's the relic! It's reacting!" Everything spiraled into chaos. The control screens flickered with error messages. The hum of machinery warped into a cacophony of distress. I grasped the edge of the console, grounding myself as the sensation of dread morphed into something darker. "Prepare for emergency protocols," I ordered, though my voice shook. As the first enemy ship opened fire, I felt a rush of fear and anger collide within me. With our fate hanging in the balance, I knew that we were facing an enemy far more formidable than any physical force. We were staring down the very essence of our own hubris, and in that moment, I understood the weight of the choice I had made: to touch the relic, to awaken the past, and to put everything at risk. As chaos erupted around us, I steeled myself for the fight ahead, knowing that whatever had come to claim the relic would not be easily defeated. The echoes of history swirled in my mind, a reminder of civilizations that had risen and fallen, and I feared we might soon follow in their wake. The ship trembled slightly as I took a step back, allowing the weight of the moment to settle around me like a cloak. My crew's restless energy buzzed in the silence as they worked to decipher the relic's purpose, each keystroke on the control panel reverberating with a tension that felt palpable in the air. The dark crystal pulsed, almost rhythmically, as if it was alive, and I could sense the conflict stirring within the hearts of those around me. Should we have left it buried, left it to the dust and shadows of the cosmos? Or had we, in our insatiable quest for knowledge, simply awakened something that should have remained undisturbed? I turned my gaze back to the controls. Reports flickered across the screens, a chaotic ballet of symbols and numbers. Energy signatures surged and fell, the readouts revealing fluctuations that were both fascinating and terrifying. I felt the steady thrum of uncertainty deep within my chest. "Status report," I barked, forcing clarity into my voice. "Commander," one of my officers replied, her fingers flying across the keyboard. "The energy levels are spiking. It's unstable, fluctuating wildly. We need to contain it, or..." "Or what?" I interrupted, my voice sharp enough to draw attention, but I needed answers, not speculation. The reality of our situation was closing in, and I could sense the panic rising among the crew. "We need to focus. What does it mean?" "The readings suggest a potential reaction," she continued, her voice trembling slightly. "If it continues to amplify, it could release a wave of energy strong enough to disrupt the entire section of space we occupy. We might be looking at a catastrophic event. The words hung heavy in the air, and I felt the weight of leadership pressing down on me with renewed force. I was not just a commander. I was responsible for the lives of every crew member aboard. This relic, this ancient artifact of an unknown civilization, had the potential to change everything. I needed to act, but how could I act when all my instincts screamed to pull back? "Prepare the containment field," I ordered, though it felt like shouting into a void. "We have to stabilize it before we can learn anything more." As the crew scrambled to follow my instructions, I found myself staring again at the relic. Its surface shimmered, reflecting a multitude of stars, a tapestry of light against the dark backdrop of space. In that moment, I felt a connection, a thread weaving itself between the relic and my own heart, a whisper of ancient knowledge reaching out to me. For the first time, I allowed myself to wonder if this was more than just an object. Perhaps it was a message, a plea from a civilization that had once thrived among the stars. "Commander, we're ready," another officer shouted, breaking the spell that had momentarily captured me. I nodded, steeling myself. "Engage the field." The ship hummed as the containment protocols activated, and I could see the shimmering energy of the relic begin to stabilize, cocooned in a gentle glow. It was a fragile piece, but it was something. "Now," I said, my heart racing, "let's get to work. I want everything we can find about its origins, its purpose. We need to understand what we're dealing with before it's too late." Hours slipped by as we worked tirelessly, piecing together the fragments of data. With every line of code and every analysis, the picture began to emerge. The relic was a key, of that I was certain. But a key to what? I felt like a traveler on the brink of a revelation, desperate to unlock the door to a new understanding of the universe. As the information flowed in, something unexpected happened. I felt a surge of energy course through me, and I realized it was more than just the relic. It was the connection we had begun to form with it. Our fears began to subside, replaced by an exhilaration that coursed through the halls of the ship. We were on the brink of something profound. But just as hope began to bloom, a warning siren blared, slicing through the moment. My heart dropped. "What now?" I demanded. "Detecting a large ship approaching," one officer replied, fingers racing across the console. "It's an Imperial vessel, Commander. They're armed and closing fast." A chill washed over me as reality crashed back. "What do they want?" "They seem to be locking onto our coordinates," the officer continued, her voice strained. "They must have detected the energy surge from the relic." Panic erupted in the control room, but I fought to maintain a sense of calm. "We must protect the relic at all costs. Prepare for engagement. We cannot let them take it." The ship shuddered under the force of the impending confrontation, and I felt a surge of determination rise within me. This was not just about survival. It was about the legacy of those who had come before us. It was about understanding the connection between civilizations, the ties that bind the cosmos together. As the Imperial vessel drew closer, I sensed a growing feeling of unity among my crew. We were no longer just a team. We were guardians of something far greater than ourselves. I felt the pulse of the relic synchronize with my heartbeat, an ancient rhythm echoing through the void of space. "Engage evasive maneuvers!" I yelled, gripping the command chair. The ship responded, veering off course as blasts from the Imperial vessel lit up the dark expanse around us. We fought back, our weapons firing in a desperate dance of survival against the onslaught. The realization hit me hard. We were not just fighting for our lives, we were fighting for the truth buried within that relic. As the battle raged on, I felt the energy of the relic begin to resonate with the chaos. I could sense its power awakening within me, igniting something I had never felt before. We were no longer just passengers in this fight. We were part of something cosmic, something that transcended our understanding. "Commander, we found a weakness in their shields," my officer shouted, urgency lacing her voice. "If we use the energizing power from the relic, we could break through." I hesitated, the weight of my decision crashing over me. "Do it." In that moment, I understood the true purpose of the relic. It was not just a tool of war, it was a bridge, a connection to something larger than ourselves. As we harnessed its energy, I could feel the fabric of space around us shift, a tapestry of our collective strength weaving through the chaos. With one final push, our weaponry breached the enemy's defenses, and the Imperial ship erupted in a blaze of light. As the remnants of their vessel drifted away, I felt a sense of peace wash over me. We had fought not just against them, but for the very essence of understanding that binds us all. In the aftermath, as the control room quieted and the stars shimmered beyond the viewports, I turned to my crew. We had emerged battered but unbroken. The relic pulsed softly, an echo of the victory we had achieved. "Together, we faced the unknown," I said, my voice steady. "We protected not just our lives, but the legacy of those who came before us. And in doing so, we discovered the strength that lies within us all." A sense of camaraderie enveloped us, and for the first time since our discovery, I felt a flicker of hope ignite in the vast darkness of space. As we set our course for home, I knew that our journey was far from over. The relic had revealed its secrets, but it had also opened the door to new questions, new paths leading into the infinite cosmos. And as we drifted among the stars, I couldn't help but wonder what other mysteries awaited us out there, in the vast silence that connected every heartbeat, every hope, and every dream. I had found my purpose, and I would not turn back. The universe had a way of revealing the truth, and I was ready to embrace whatever came next.